What's up? Welcome back to another Ron the Chosen video. Listen, so today, guys, I want to talk about. I mentioned in my recent video, I just made it and I'm about to post it, about to drop it. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna make this video again because I was talking to my father. I was saying I was gonna make this video and I was gonna put it out for you guys. Why I ride a bike. Why in 2026 do I, this Ron the Chosen, have I decided to run a bike? Okay, so we're gonna get into this, and I want to start off by saying, guys, I've owned a car, like I say, way back when, and wasn't too long ago though. You know, it's just I would say 2020, so just a couple years ago. But that was like during COVID when everything started really getting expensive, and we went into like super inflation. We're at hyperinflation now. It was like super inflation then. And it was just a time where I did have a business during the time, okay? So I was doing pretty good for myself prior to that time, but it just so happened that I got the car during the time that my business was starting to drop off. It was starting to lose volume, and like I said, I was a contractor. And then of course, not too much longer after that, I ended up being laid off. I had to sell the car, etc. I already had expensive, like, new driver's insurance at this time. I was in my earlier 20s, so I wasn't, I wasn't one of those people who learned how to drive like real early, and it was doing all this. Like I learned pretty much late, but it was still a decent time, but it was still kind of late. And essentially, I went back, started living with my pops. I started to get back out there working again because I said I need a job. You know what I mean? I can't just sit around, sit at home and do nothing. He kicked me out, and that ain't my nature, you know what I mean? I can't do that. I can't sit around and just do nothing. I was maybe like 22 at the time or something like that, 22 going to 23, something like that. So I knew I couldn't, you know what I mean? I'm never going to do nothing like that. So I started seeing these changes. But before seeing these changes in pricings and all this stuff and in inflation that we were already in during that time. So fast forward to like 2021. I'm gonna say, no, I think it was 2022. Yeah, 2022. Fast forward to 2022. As I start getting back out to work again, I'm like, okay, I need transportation. I am not gonna ask or or pay for rides everywhere I need to go. I'm just not gonna do that. So I went and I bought me a bike. I think it was like Walmart or something like that. I bought this cruiser. That was my first bike. I like mountains now. Far better. They're faster. They get me point A to point Z in just a much shorter amount of time. But the cruiser was solid. You know what I mean? One speed, and it was gray and black. Long story short, somebody stole that one. Okay, eventually I did something very crazy, okay, and they stole it. Well, I left it somewhere overnight. That is a story that you guys don't need to know, okay? But yeah, for some crazy reason, I thought it was alright to leave something where I shouldn't have left it overnight, even with the lock on it, and it was gone. But anyway, so back to me having a bike. Okay, so then at this time, I don't think I was as experienced, nowhere near. I was new to like riding a bike all the time, full time. But I was working at like a Boost Mobile, and I was selling phones and stuff like that. And again, I was just biking everywhere that I had to work, everywhere. And like I say, it was good. Like for the first time, you're talking about no gas, no insurance, no car note, and it was great. And honestly, that became, unintentionally now, it became my primary source of transportation for the coming years. I saw how cars and all these things were just going up and up and up and up in price. Insurance as well, car notes and all this stuff. And I just said to myself, you know what, guys? Looking at the economy, looking at the prices of things, back to the economy, and back to the price of everything. I said, yeah, no. I want a car, right? Well, sure, right? They're okay. They're not bad. You know what I mean? I've never been like a big car guy, but I don't mind delaying my gratification for a few years, getting things in order, which is what I've been doing, so that I can have a better life. And I've got some snares along the way of that, some snags and things, but generally speaking, I don't have a problem with cars now. In fact, like I said, I'd like to have like one of those Challengers. I think they're pretty dope. But that's in the future, you see, once I've gotten my income to where I need to be. And basically, I guess what I'm trying to say to you guys is my priorities changed. I used to be one of those people who cared a lot about looking like the world wants you to look, expects you to look. This was before I knew I was like a chosen one and all this stuff. And I would just do all these things trying to do this or trying to impress women and stuff like this. And then again, it's just like you have this, you know, revelation. You just reach this point where God just shows you the truth, which is nobody really, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? People are going to like you and they're going to dislike you. No matter what you wear, no matter what you drive, it does not matter. The only thing that matters is God and you being yourself and true to yourself. And what I'm saying to you guys is I became true to myself when I began choosing the bike as my full-time transportation and just not caring about what people think. So that has helped me save, you know, money, invest, and just be able to kind of, you know, get in a situation, and it hasn't always been perfect, but to get in a situation financially where I'm not stressing or struggling, and I don't have a great, like a super tremendous, you know, or extravagant income or nothing, guys. It's very average, very normal, very regular for someone single, right? But I'm not hurting, and I'm able to actually eat, and eat well, very well, you know what I mean? So I'm able to get healthy things for my body, fish oils and, you know, flax seeds and all this good stuff. I'm able to, you know, keep healthy things that I can eat around me all the time and not have to eat any kind of food. You see what I'm saying? It has, riding a bike full time has very much positively impacted my life. I am not telling anyone this to convince anyone to do anything. If you're a car guy, stay a car guy. You like your mopeds or whatever, and I actually do intend on getting a moped in the future, just because I'm having some life changes that would make it more convenient now at this particular point in my life coming up to have one of those. But I'm still saying no to the car for right now. And that's because, again, when I get a car, I want to be in just a whole nother financial bracket where now it doesn't hurt any bit of my income really to see maybe a couple of hundreds come out just for transportation's sake alone anymore. You see what I mean? And again, this is when I say people have to learn to be responsible and with their money, because you don't want to have something if it's going to take 50 and 60% of your income in this economy. To me, okay? To me, you guys, again, you do whatever you want to do. But to me, this does not seem smart. Okay? Especially when you are one person and you're trying to make this life make sense financially as one person, it just isn't helpful. Like a lot of these cars and car notes and all this stuff, it's crazy, guys. And I'm in North Carolina, dude. Like I'm in one of the supposed to be one of the cheaper states to live in, if not one of the cheapest, and it's still pretty high. And this is why I say, for me, I'm not interested in getting a car or anything like that, unless, like I said, I had had a child or something, got married, and me and the wife or something decided it's good to have a car, or like something like that. You know what I mean? It's big changes, guys. Big changes. And other than that, like, no. And even if they had a car, that's fine. Like, I'm cool with not having one of my own until I can easily afford it and to have it, because I'm just not the type of person that makes a lot out of these things. I'm more of a person who looks on the internal. I believe that we are special and not the things, because it's like a lot of people, they do things more for just what they think others want to see them doing, proving something to their parents. And you don't have to be the defensive guys with me, okay? I'm a very real person. I have been out here long enough to analyze and have God show me a lot of the reasons people do what they do, and it is the reasons I'm saying. If it isn't transportation, believe it or not, is one of the lowest reasons people put themselves in debt. The main reason people do it is because of what other people think, is impressing parents, and so on and so forth. And I've always, again, I used to be a person to a degree. I wasn't like others still to the most part, but to some degree I used to try to impress people. I used to live like that. But when I found myself, God showed me who I was. I started walking in my purpose and me, who He made me to be. I stopped caring. I just stopped. I started doing what I wanted to do, and just because I found myself in Him. So that was enough. I was now complete. So now I could go out and make anything cool. I could make anything awesome. So that's the attitude I take with anything I do. And that's the same thing I want to share with you guys, is take that same attitude, you know what I mean? Don't think that this one thing makes you cool. This one thing is in. You can, if you have the confidence, you can make anything shine. If you have the confidence, if you have the charisma, you can make anything awesome, guys. It don't matter. You could stand right beside someone who has the nicest luxury car, and you roll up on your bike and you're just as shiny as he is, or is his car. Because it isn't him, believe me or not. Believe it or not, it isn't the guy, it's the car that makes the guy. But what I'm telling you is how to be the person that makes the thing. That's how you do it. That's real confidence. That's real self-esteem. That's what it looks like. Okay? To be the prize yourself and not the thing that you're driving or you're being hauled around in. Because a lot of times that's what it is. You hear these people, boom, boom, and all the music bumping, and they want all this attention. Think about if they didn't have that. Would they still have that same vibrato coming out and about? No. No. Then you think about, and again, I can only use myself, guys, because like I said, I don't see a whole lot of very confident people out here. I will be honest. Most jobs I work, a lot of people don't have that kind of confidence and charisma. They just don't. I'm not trying to, be disrespectful or anything like that. I have always been the person that, that's able to put over things, just because I'm not afraid of what people think. I'm not afraid of slander. I'm not afraid of anybody talking about me or saying, hey, this is corny, what is he doing, you know, what is he wearing. I really don't care. And because I've been this way, I have literally had people tell me, that's a good thing that you do, who had trucks, who had cars. That is a great thing you do, man. Or I like your attitude, you know. You show up every day on a bike and perform like this and do like that. That's like respect. That's what I'm saying. I've had people with cars, guys, with trucks, jealous of me. And you would say to yourself, how in the world would they be jealous? Again, it doesn't have anything to do with material things, guys. It's charisma, it's confidence. It's you knowing who you are and being able to project that no matter what you're driving, no matter what you're wearing, no matter how much money or how little money you have, doesn't matter. You just have to be secure enough in who you are. And when you're like that, the audience, the people will follow. The support and the supporters and the haters, aka fans, that's what I consider them, they will follow. That's how it works. So not to make this into some kind of confidence, you know, versus no confidence video, just saying, these are reasons why, you know, I don't care what people think. And I ride my bike full time. And how do I do that? Again, I take, like I say, I have things with me that I carry with me, so just in case, and you know, something busts, or, you know, tire busts or something breaks, I can just fix it. You know, small tools. And, you know, you take an inner tube with you or so. I always recommend keeping one inner tube just in case, and some patches for the inner tube. It's very smart, just in case you don't have a spare or a new inner tube to change it out with. I always recommend that though, because it'll make it very easy for you to get around. That way you don't have to stop. You could be just like anybody with any transportation. You would just be to get right back on your bike and just go home, go where you need to go. I always think it's very dumb and beginner-ish to ride a bike without an inner tube or without tools or any way. I used to do that, guys, for real. God knows that, and I realized after I stopped doing that and I tightened up, that was so stupid. That was so dumb. Because it just takes one nail, one sharp object that isn't even a nail. Okay? Sharp rock, anything, dude, to just penetrate it. And psst, that's it. You gotta wait for the bus. And don't let it be past here. Don't let it be past 5 o'clock. You're done. If you don't have money to call someone, it's over for you. You're going to have to push that thing all the way home, and I pray you don't live far from where you stay. So that would be my advice. Also, if you're going to ride full time, have money saved for like when it snows, because you won't ride then. Obviously, you're going to need a car for that. So again, that's here in North Carolina, that's maybe 2 or 3 times in a whole year that you will pay for a ride. Come on. That's easy money, dude. You can save for that so fast. If it's for rain, just get a rain suit. I have one. And again, always carry it with you just in case you don't check the weather. Check the weather every day. Make sure it's the right temp. You know, it's going to be the right types of climates and things like that. That way you know if you need to wear a jacket, if it's cold, if you don't. I always do that. Like I say, again, guys, I ride, bike is my full-time transportation for the time being. That's what I do, so I have to be very responsible. with being that. So I try to make sure I have the tools, I have the inner tube, I have, patches, everything I need to make it easy and smooth getting to work and back every day. Performing normal maintenance on the bike when necessary, tightening things up, tightening the chains up, tightening, the brakes and whatnot. Getting new tires is something I'd say maybe do every 6 months if you're like someone that really want to commit to that. But I will tell you the benefit. The benefit is you're going to save a lot of money. So the small little, discomfort, if any, of riding a bike or doing it full time is not going to compare to the great amount of money that you're going to be to save. You're going to save a lot of money. It's going to allow you to invest a lot and get ahead faster than everybody basically that's driving. I'm just being honest. Unless they just have so much money they're making beyond their payments, you are going to be ahead of everybody at your job that you work at, and they won't even know. They'll be looking at you thinking that you are behind them, and you're actually ahead of them, which is crazy. That is wild to think about. Anyway, that is why I ride a bike. Put some comments down, whatever you guys want to do. You know how it goes. This is just Ron the Chosen, coming back at you guys with another one. I'm out. Peace.